Hello and welcome to the top 20 tracks by Yoko Shimomura, composer of such games as Kingdom Hearts, Parasite Eve, Legend of Mana, Super Mario RPG, and the other Mario RPG games that have different names and are in a different timeline because Nintendo is annoying. Final Fantasy 15, Street Fighter, and many, many more, but mostly Legend of Mana. Welcome. Thanks, Lena, for organizing this playlist for me. Thank you, everyone, for contributing to it. Prince, Chris, Lachlan's dad, everybody. Versus 13 doesn't exist. Do you exist? I don't think so. Wrong. So, first track, the one you're listening to now, was called Dreamy Somnom Labyrinth from Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Yoko's music is characterized by a lot of piano, skillful composition, control of the orchestra. She's beautiful. It's Claudio! Alright, first up is a track from a game that I don't like, but has good music. Yeah, this is my pick. I just tossed it in there. This is Always the Violence. I don't know about that. I think you're thinking of Hamazu. Masashi Hamazu. Next up, Kingdom Hearts 3, Ventus's theme, the clear version. Very clear. Wow. Some beautiful moments there. Some beautiful moments just like that one. Fantastic stuff. Yoko Shimomura. A lot of piano. Didn't really hear any violins. That Lena had mentioned twice. Yes, child main theme? I don't know. Ventus's theme. Whoever Ventus is in this wacky world of Kingdom Hearts. It's such a waste that music this good is stuck in a game like that. Ah, what a shame. People with properly developed brains could have been listening to this all this time. But I guess good music still finds a way to... It's like a flower growing through a bunch of crap. it's even more of a testament to how great this music is in Shimomura. She has like a very careful way of composing. It's a very lush world. She takes her time, and she kind of hits you. Well, that big change came out of nowhere, but not in a jarring, obnoxious change for change's sake kind of way. Very mature composer. Next up. Well, I mean, yeah, it's an orchestra, so there's violins in an orchestra, but I'm talking like violin as a lead instrument. All right, next up, Parasite Eve. An interesting action RPG from the PS1. This track is called Across the View. Nice picture. All right, so we have more use of the piano, a little more rock, a little more of a hybrid, like somebody had mentioned. Claudio, Parasite Eve was such a wild experiment. I like to think the music followed the same logic, experimental opera rock. It does have that operatic, I don't really know how to classify it, but it does feel like something you would see in an opera hall or like a Phantom of the Opera kind of thing, where it has kind of a regalness to it, but then with this like rock backbeat behind it. And it doesn't really get too lush and flowy. This is like kept very rigid, and it keeps building and building and building. In Parasite Eve, I believe you play as sort of like a cop who's investigating some paranormal fantasy stuff. So I think that the percussion behind it and the slight the rock grooves and percussion is keeping in that real world feel. And then maybe the more like dancing piano and everything around it, and the drama is evoking whatever this girl here is doing. My PlayStation 1 mouth is moving. Whoa! Very exciting stuff. All right, next up, Legend of Mana, the first of many. This is called The City of Flickering Destruction. I was expecting a little more metal. really nice track. She definitely has a very unique style. Very piano driven. These are some pretty bad MIDI pianos and sort of like vocalized violins or something they're trying to do. It's like a choir sound. The limitations of the PS1, but nice and sets a mood. I was expecting something a little more bombastic just by the name, but I'm assuming that if I was going to play the game, you would see sort of something that is more flickering. The destruction is maybe like the after the destruction, not the explosion, but the flickering of everything else kind of dying down. I always come back to thinking it's very elegant and very mature. In another life, she would have been a classical composer, but we get her as a classical composer of video games now. Next up, from her work in the Mario RPG series. This is from the first one, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars. This song is called Beware the Forest's Mushrooms. I mean, that winding opening melody that transposes and stays with the song throughout, the multiple movements it makes, the different pieces, like this first piece has got such a lot of like momentum and whimsy. It's just so fun. And then the way it kind of builds in the second piece, the third one changes over. It just has so much variety for a song that came out on the Super Nintendo. Really limited hardware, and sounds like she has full command of an orchestra, even though she's using a 16-bit Super Nintendo sound chip. Incredible stuff. This is one of her all-time favorite tracks. Like Prince said, it sounds so familiar even if you've never played it. It's incredible. It's such a standout. Probably my favorite track we've heard so far, and I'm assuming will be my favorite one for the rest of the week. I don't know. Next up is from some Kingdom Hearts crap. This is called Cases of the Foretellers. Back cover. Wow. Using the James Bond moving fifth note. Dun, 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 dun. This song is so confident in what it's doing. It's just so slow, slowly spreading out. Hardly a pulse to it, but a strong pulse. Just goes so many beautiful places. I cannot believe something this good is being used so they can keep telling that Kingdom Hearts story on mobile. Now it's on mobile. It makes me so angry. But this music is so good. It's like one of the greatest crimes in human history. But I'm so glad it exists. And I'm so glad we do this show. Otherwise, I just wouldn't ever listen to it. Oh, man. I just can't even imagine what stupid Kingdom Hearts crap is playing in the story behind the song. I don't even want to. I just want to imagine my own game, not made by Nomura, just anything else. Oh yes, it's so beautiful. I want to imagine myself murdering Nomura and erasing his impact on games from history to this soundtrack. Ah, that's wonderful. Well, of course a game on mobile should be important to the canon when every other game is released on a regular platform. Let's see, this next one is from Legend of Mana. This track is called Beyond the Truth. A little bit of variety here. Really beautiful. A very simple theme. Keeps a lot of things suspended. Kind of keeps hitting a repetitive idea, but doesn't get annoying. Definitely sounds like something dastardly is about to happen. Maybe this big tree's going to get chopped down. But beautiful. There's so many interesting choices. Like, even with that simple melody and the notes against it, there's just so much like kind of swirling movement and sort of hope. Oh. Even with just like a repeating figure like that, she knows exactly where to place these points. Wonderful. I thought, having just one composer could get a bit stuffy. Although we've done it with Uematsu before and there's so much variety. But it's amazing what these composers can crank out in variety and still know that it's them. It helps that she's been around for so long and has composed on so many different platforms. Alright, next up, Final Fantasy XV. Noctis's theme. Interesting is Noctis's theme. Yeah, like Wispin is saying, it's regal, it's royal, it's elegant, it's dainty. It kind of sounds like a prince. A prince from a beautiful place with beautiful hair and beautiful friends and a beautiful life, who's supposed to go marry a beautiful wife. But it never betrays what eventually happens to him, or what eventually makes the story interesting. Or maybe that kind of shows that this story kind of lacked anything, that's an interesting spark within it, right? But it's, it's a very dreamy theme. I mean, this kind of sounds like your memories of your first 3 months of infatuation with a lover. Like, nothing can go wrong. Gorgeous. All right, next up, The Darkness Nova from Legend of Mana. Any second now it's going to play. Watch Noctis run. Oh, this is different. Wow, what a nice track. It's funny because the rhythm and the percussion is so heavy. It's like actually double kick. Like pounding bass and guitars. But then what she does with her sort of like mid-range melodies and sort of chordal patterns is that she still stretches out. You know, it's the whole thing is not just thrusting around. She's got this bed of chaos underneath with the double kick. And then the chords kind of expanding themselves, having room, having space. It's still breathing like it's a beautiful ballad, but it's actually this incredible heavy boss battle. It's so uniquely her, while it's still taking the hallmarks and the things that we come to expect to evoke a boss battle of like intense combat, but doing it in her own way. That's just brilliant. Next up, speaking of rock and fighting, one of the greatest fighting games of all time, the game that sparked the fighting game genre and revolution for it in the 90s, and probably arguably the most recognizable, if not most iconic track from that game. This is Guile's theme from Street Fighter II by Yoko Shimomura. I mean, if there was a composer that had just composed the tracks for Street Fighter 2, I would have thought that person is a legend, Hall of Famer. And then when you're going through her career and seeing like, oh my god, Kingdom Hearts, Mario RPG, Final Fantasy 15, Legend of Mana, and then you realize, what? She also did Street Fighter 2? Ryu's theme, Guile's theme, Ken's, Chun-Li, Vega, they're almost all, some of them are a bit kind of like wonky and a bit stereotypical, but I mean, what she's doing here is like nothing we've really heard in gaming music up to this point. I mean, there was a lot of this kind of Dorian scale, Contra, Mega Man heroicness to it, but the way she kind of brought in this like fusiony jazz, shuffling rock just fit it so well, because with the rhythms, it has this feel of this like push and this pull, which when you're in a fight, it's the constant battle, back and forth, blocks, and then big hits, counters. But it's so bloody, heroic, and epic while still being cool and down to earth, and it's a bloody masterpiece. This is from the arcade version. If you ever want to hear the very best version of Me Jacob, we already did that one. That was earlier in the show. She's inspired on the subway alert noise for Blanca theme, huh? Cool. What was I gonna say? Oh, the Super Mercado brothers, who inspired this format, they put together all the best bits from the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, and arcade versions of the soundtrack, because all of them have flaws. And they created the ultimate, it's called the like Street Fighter, I don't know, Ultimate Edition. It's sort of like a play on words, how they always have Championship Edition, Hyper Fighting, but it's a free soundtrack because they don't own any of the music. Check it out if you like Street Fighter music. Alright, next is from Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 remix, 358 divided by 2 days. The song is called Critical Drive. And I think we've hit the loop. Wow, another, like you had said, the boss tracks are very, very varied. I like that really fast bass synth under there. You hear it a lot in like the Super Mario World later stuff, where it's like, where it can be kind of slower, plucky, and annoying, but this is done really, really well, really tasteful. I could see this being some sort of like sci-fi boss or something, fighting a big robot or whatever. This plays when Roxas tries to leave the organization and has to fight. Sykes. You're not leaving the organization that easily. Great track. Beautiful. Simple. Gets its point across and does it really well. Next up is from Legend of Mana. Colored Earth. Colored Earth. And what an adventurous track. This is from one of the first dungeons in the game, plays in some other dungeons as well. To do all this, how exciting would it have been to grab the PlayStation 1 console, play a big ass RPG like this? It just looks so beautiful, and then you've got this music. She's fully taking advantage of a much larger palette of sounds, and to really take command of this orchestra that she so obviously knows how to do. I mean, I would love to check out her stuff, any works that have been redone and re-recorded with full-on orchestra. It's just gorgeous. Me, Jacob, did you do dearly beloved Kingdom Hearts 2? I don't know if it's on the list. I haven't seen all the list yet. I don't think so. Maybe. What a beautiful track. Just so inspiring and so playful in this section here. I love the little marching band snare drum. There's almost like a bolero under rhythm with the bass and some of the heavier percussion. It's just doing so many things. It's such a beautiful fusion of so many different music styles. Alright, some more Kingdom Hearts crap. This is called Zion Data Battle Vector to the Heavens Remix. Did we really want a remix in here? An error occurred. Kingdom Hearts error. This is 47 minutes long. I think it's my ad blocker does that. Wow, so exciting. So many ideas flying around, just these like wonderful... She has such a good way of combining like super heavy pulsing rhythms with this like really adventurous, open, breathy melodies and sort of like pads on top of it. And the way that she lets a piece kind of breathe, and the composition and arrangement of this piece to like just develop into what it does, and like the way she can just so easily toss in that like super compressed, distorted snare roll and those big like drum hits near the end with like bow. It's like you're listening to the end of a rock concert, and she has it fit perfectly in this. It's amazing. All right, next up again. Oh, geez, another Legend of Mana track, Memory of Running. Ooh. Whoa. Yeah, you can really hear the snowy iciness of it. I mean, you have these like high piano sort of icicle sounds to it, and sort of that da, 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 like not having any movement with those that higher riff on the piano. The whole thing sounds very chilling. Hardly any bass in it, other than just like the odd pulse to just keep it going and ground it. Another gorgeous track, and like such a way of like keeping a snowfield theme a bit more interesting than what they usually are. All right, next is from, I haven't heard of this, Live Alive or Live Alive, Megalomania? An error has occurred. Wonderful. Interesting looking game, interesting track. She's using these like parallel, I don't know if those are like fourths, those like harmonized riffs. It's got sort of almost like a Spanish feel to it. So maybe like a European kind of like flamenco with the melodies and the scale of it. So this is what inspired Toby Fox to just make his own. Toby Fox is like such a savant genius. The guy made a game with a fantastic story that resonated, that created a cult of followers, and then also managed to compose it and create a pretty memorable soundtrack. And then couldn't get the rights to this, so made his own song, Megalomania, which is another cult favorite, probably the most popular song from that whole track. Wow. Very interesting. So this is a Super Nintendo RPG with lots of crazy gameplay. Interesting. All right, good job, Yoko. Next up, Legend of Mana. Marginal Beast. Wow, really simple track. Sets the mood. Really interesting. She always has such interesting drum patterns. But just like a nice hammering bass or guitar idea and then some rising chords around it. Very simple for hers. But it's very nice. Very moody. Very moody and powerful. Next up, Final Fantasy XV Apocalyptus Aquarius. This is the Leviathan battle theme. That is pretty damn epic. Every time you think it's gotten as high, as climactic as it possibly can, it somehow finds another level to just get even crazier. And I think it makes sense when you're dealing with everything you've seen in the game, and then all of a sudden now you're fighting these big set-piece bosses. Like everybody was saying in the chat, is that they're not really the most memorable gameplay-wise, but in terms of looks and scale, they're very, very epic. It's sort of that promise of all the cutscene summons and stuff we'd see in the previous Final Fantasy games and done on a grand scale, more of like a modern cinematic scale. That was crazy. I don't know how this couldn't be a final boss theme. That's mental. Oh, great work. She can really do everything. From Street Fighter, shuffle, jazz rock to her regular like symphonic stuff, RPG stuff, and then to just have a boss theme like this that could crush every other boss theme. Because I find a lot of boss themes, like, they generally are, they can be kind of drab and they lack a lot of melody or anything interesting going on. They're not that musical. They have the rhythm usually, but they're pretty flat in terms of melody because they just want to be like low and pounding. But this shows that you can be epic, you can be, make it sound huge, and actually have a lot of motion and things going on and a lot of character. Alright, next up, Legend of Mana. The excitement for both of us. Ooh, sounds like Shenmue. Wow. I mean, this thing just builds so much, but the song has purpose. It sounds like something that could be very chill, very relaxing, but something is happening. I like these, you're saying that this is for like a bone corpse dragon flying in the sky? So when you hear those like opening, pop, 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 well, they're hitting like marimbas or something. It sounds like you're playing the bones of some mysterious dinosaur dragon. But you're going to war. And you can hear the like those long extended notes of something big and flying in the sky. VN is just subscribed. Yeah. Oh. What an amazing track. God, I just love hearing where it's going to go, the way that it's set up, the story that it tells. It's fantastic. Next up, some Kingdom Hearts BS. Oh, sorry, that's BBS. Tell Me the Truth. Armor of Arrakis. Huh? What? Armor of Arrakis? Gosh, the Armor of Arrakis might be the key to getting through the dimensional portal. What? Dimensions? Hearts? Oh, there's so much emotion, so much storytelling, so much scope in these compositions. The places that it goes are so much more memorable and so much better told of a story than the game that it's supporting. I think Nomura should really try to learn from Shimomura in the amazing things she does, telling a story through music. I think he has a lot to learn. All right, next up is from Mario and Luigi. Dream Team. This is called Never Let Up. Yeah, Claudia. Like, the song is trying to tell a story because the game is failing at it. Wow, that is like groovy, like Leonard is saying, and fun and playful, but it sounds kind of like you took another song and just sped everything up 2 or 3 times. The way she's doing the percussion is just super manic, like it's being played by chipmunks or like a heavy metal band full of chipmunks. Alvin and the Metal Monks. Super fun. You just never know what you're going to get with her. She's full of surprises. You think that she's this sort of dainty, elegant, royal, classically trained classical composer, and then she like brings this stuff out, just like slams it through. It's pretty amazing. All right, any ideas for next week? I wouldn't mind covering Disaster Piece, the guy who did Fez and Hyper Light Drifter. I don't know what other games he's done though. But that's my suggestion, but I'm not married to it. So if you guys have any other ideas, let me know. Picking a year is always really fun, too. You get more variety. All right. Legend of Mana, track 15, To the Sea. It didn't work. Wow, what a friggin' groovy track with that sort of bossa nova bass. Boom, 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 boom. Actually, no, that's not bossa nova. That is salsa. Yeah, so you got a salsa bass and beat behind it. Just like so well done. I mean, I'm not from a country where salsa music is prevalent, so maybe it's not as like authentic as I think, but to me it doesn't sound like it's sort of like generic crap or anything. It sounds really beautiful. And but then throwing on top of it this like interesting RPG, thoughtful, adventurous melody. Like what a nice marriage of it. Oh, this is amazing. So how are we on 2016? Prince was talking about 2008? Let's see. Games 2008. And let's see. 2008 was Fallout 3, GTA 4, Call of Duty World at War, Left 4 Dead, Dead Space, Army of 2. 2008 wouldn't be too bad. Rez. Mario and Sonic. N+. A Yakuza game. Worms, a Space Oddity. A Wild Arms game. That's lots. It was a pretty busy year. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for 2016 for what do you call it? Because I really wanted to feature some Disasterpiece stuff. So, whatever year that Fez or Hyperlight Drifter came out, yeah, we can do a poll. All right, let me hop into my Twitch dashboard. But it looks like we'll have plenty more years to take care of. This song is so good. What's the last one? Yozora? Well, who picked that one? Was that part of the top 20? It's supposed to be a top 20, not 21. Alright, let me run a poll here, baby. How do I do that? Give me a poll. Manage a poll. New poll. 2016 or 2008? Responses 2016 and 2008. How many bits does everybody have? I don't want to allow additional votes for this. All right, it's going to be a 3-minute poll. Boom! Good God, what a song. Pretty close. Whoa, we're at 3 and 3. Polls isn't showing up for you? Oh, Prince. Really? It's pretty strange. Prince, you don't see it at the top of the chat? It should be at the top of the chat. Let me show you. Oh, crap. 2008 just got another vote. Okay, last track on here is called Yozora. Ugh, Kingdom Hearts. Another fantastic track. It's really hard for me. I have to like not even think about Kingdom Hearts because it just clouds so much of my judgment on how beautiful it is. I guess it's like if you're with somebody and they cheated on you, and it would be hard for you to look at them the same way, you know? Someone that really treated me wrong. I mean, it's an amazing track. And Yoko doesn't deserve any of my Kingdom Hearts hate. It's just hard for me to keep the lines clear. Oh, I see. So Yozora was the original, and then they just stole Noctis and put him in Final Fantasy 15. That's why Noctis never really feels like he fits in 15, and why they try to force all this like day and night cycle in 15 that doesn't make any sense. 15 feels like such a hack job. Square. They used to be the tops. Now they make the most expensive games that are sometimes the most impressive, but are just sort of like their vision is so murky now. All right, thanks everybody. I guess that's it for today. I got a video I'm putting up about why I always keep going back to Morrowind. I'm gonna render that and upload it. Look forward to some, probably start doing some more podcasts and a few more like opinion videos here and there. And I guess we'll be getting through, what do you call it? Control. I'm playing that tomorrow. And I'm going to start streaming to YouTube as well. I just have to figure out all the chat stuff again. But I'm going to keep uploading to YouTube, the better quality ones. Because our stream quality is just so crap. I'm going to keep the stream down at a lower rate. Like 720, I won't be pushing for like 1080 or 60 frames a second. Just so that we can keep the stream smooth. And then I'll be uploading these higher quality versions to YouTube. So there's a nameless star, Stella from Versus, that talks about how her lover, Versus Noctis' heart and body was stolen and replaced with another. So yeah, it's like Nomura hates Square for what they did to his Versus, but they keep putting him in charge of everything. That's where I think like the Japanese system of management is screwed up. Whoever sticks around the longest gets to make all the decisions. Even if they're talentless hacks. Alright. I'll see you guys, see music lovers next week for our 2008 Top 20. Don't worry about, like, if you see someone has already put in 5 tracks, you can take your time. If we get 25, 30 tracks, 35 tracks, we'll reduce people's tracks. Their 5th, their 4th, or 3rd, whatever. So just make sure when you put them in, the ones you want played the most are number 1, 2, 3, etc. We'll be back with Control tomorrow. Let's try for 11 a.m. tomorrow for Control. 11 a.m. Eastern Time. All right. Bye 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 bye.